what are they doing with the money? If I give them some dollars to buy Libra, they're kind of being fuzzy about that in their white paper. Well, it's going to be, in government securities and banks and other investment-grade investments. And so what's that about? I think, the strength of the collateral is another question I would have about it.
Okay, so put your regulator hat on.
Yeah.
What's your first question?
Yeah, that's my first question.
Okay, right.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're saying it's stable value, it's money good, and so are the investments behind it? They have to do something with the money. So it's like a money market fund, right? We had a problem like that during the crisis. They said it was money good, dollar for dollar, and they were investing in things like Lehman Brothers debt that it turns out were not so money good. So I think they need a lot of transparency, more explanation around that, number one.
Who's going to regulate this?
Yeah, well, that's another question. It's not a bank. It's not a trust. I mean, you mentioned Paxos, which has the stable coin, but we're a regulated trust by the New York Department of Financial Services. So, yeah, what's the prudential oversight? What's the capital behind this? Those are the kinds of regulatory questions I would have as well.
Now, you have, as we said, you've already written op-ed op-eds about the Fed perhaps creating their own digital currency. Why?
Yeah. Well, it would democratize monetary policy, I think. Banks have reserve accounts with the Fed. The technology exists, I think, to make those reserve accounts broadly available to households, and it would give people a very safe way to make payments. I mean, you don't have to worry about the Fed defaulting, right? They can print their own money. You don't need the network fees. You don't need the checking account costs. There are some downsides too. Well, you disintermediate the banking system, and I think you need to put limits on how much central bank digital currency (CBDC) would be issued. But I think it's got tremendous potential for monetary policy too. We've tried to drive the recovery since the Great Crisis with monetary policy. It's been very uneven.
Right.
But actually paying that interest directly to households when monetary policy dictates it, I think would make it more effective.
Yeah, I mean, the tools they have an intended effect, but there's no guarantee that effect is going to happen.
It's happened,
the way they can put it into effect, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Where's digital currency going?
Yeah.
I mean, this is by far, Libra is the most ambitious project yet.
Yes.
And it's most fully formed to this point, although it's not by any means fully formed. But where's this going?
So, I've told you what I think the risks are, but let me say for the benefits, too, I think good for Facebook for trying to make this new technology, which is very exciting, more broadly accessible. It can get if properly done, it can get a lot of frictions out of the system. There is a lot of cost of making payments these days, particularly making international payments. There are a lot of unbanked people throughout the world. So the technology is there. It's just a matter of, do central banks do it? Does it opt out? Does a company like Facebook do it? If we let private companies do it, what kind of regulation do we need around it? Those are really the questions we haven't answered yet.
And of course, the problems exist, money laundering,
drug
deals,
there's the anonymity of it or pseudonymity of it
right?
is an issue. So, but again, I think that the blockchain, it gives you a very clean audit of ownership. So there are some advantages from fighting money laundering as well to using blockchain technology.
You're going to hate me for this question. Do you think this gets off the ground?
Oh, boy. I'm a little skeptical, I got to tell you.
Okay.